A single afternoon on a soccer field redefined everything for a 12-year-old named Daniel. One minute, he was racing down the field with the crowd's excitement all around him. The next, he collapsed, and his heart stopped for 7 minutes. When paramedics brought him back, his first words hinted at a shocking encounter beyond this world. He spoke of being shown pivotal moments leading to the year 2025, and an unforeseen figure at the center of these events, Barron. This is the story of how one brief departure from life could alter humanity's perspective on the future. Daniel's upbringing was fairly ordinary. He lived in a comfortable suburban neighborhood, went to school, played sports, and filled his weekends with bike rides and exploring the local woods. Yet, beneath the surface, he wrestled with big questions few his age dared to ask. Much of this curiosity was nurtured by his grandmother, whose faith was unwavering. She often spoke of a reality beyond what our eyes can see, hinting that one day Daniel might be called upon for something significant. His parents, moderately religious at best, humored his curiosity without fully sharing in it. They noticed how easily he formed friendships as his inquisitive spirit drew people in. Still, no one could have predicted that a sudden collapse on a soccer pitch would send Daniel spiraling into a realm of visions and revelations. His grandmother's words, "Be ready, God might call on you," hung in the air, taking on a new weight. On that particular Saturday, the family excitedly watched Daniel's soccer tournament, proud of how fiercely he competed. The sun beamed down, the crowd roared whenever a goal was scored, and Daniel seemed at the height of his youthful energy. Then came the moment that would alter the course of his life. One hand clutched his chest, his face contorted in pain, and he dropped to the ground, leaving everyone stunned. In the confusion, no one realized that, for Daniel, this was merely the start of a much larger journey. As paramedics rushed him to the hospital, the clock ticked ominously. 7 minutes without a heartbeat, a threshold few cross, and return from unchanged. When Daniel's heart finally resumed its rhythm, a collective gasp of relief filled the air. He was alive, but as the days and weeks passed, it became evident that his brief absence from this world left him with a story no one expected to hear. When Daniel describes those 7 minutes, the first thing he mentions is an overwhelming sense of peace. In the instant his heart stopped, he felt a sudden shift away from all physical sensation. He recalls hovering above the soccer field, gazing down at paramedics working frantically on his body. The sight of his parents trembling with fear should have filled him with terror, yet he felt oddly serene. It was as though a gentle force was guiding him, ensuring he felt no pain, no panic. That initial out-of-body awareness transitioned into a deep tunnel of light, though Daniel resists calling it a tunnel. He says it was more like stepping through a veil into an all-encompassing radiance. This light carried a palpable warmth, more comforting than anything he had experienced. As he moved deeper, he sensed a loving presence, a calm so profound it melted away any trace of concern about his life or the world he had left behind. He calls it perfect peace, a state where time didn't exist as he knew it. Then came the moment when he saw someone approaching. Daniel describes it as instantaneous recognition, even though no words were exchanged at first. He just knew it was Jesus. The figure emanated a compassion and purity that Daniel says cannot be compared to anything on earth. It wasn't a typical conversation. Daniel felt answers in his heart before he could even form the questions. He was enveloped by a love so unconditional that, in his words, "I finally knew what people mean by divine presence." During this encounter, Jesus showed Daniel glimpses of the world, both as it is and as it could be. These visions appeared like scenes unfolding around him. The first set revealed a troubled planet marked by conflict, divisiveness, and technological isolation. Families in the same room, but worlds apart on their phones. Then came scenes of sweeping natural disasters, chaotic cityscapes, and human suffering. Daniel sensed sorrow in Jesus' eyes. Yet there was also hope, an invitation for humanity to change. It was a message that if people chose unity and compassion, much of that bleak future could be avoided or transformed. One of the most startling elements of Daniel's visions was the appearance of a young man standing at a podium addressing a crowd. At first, Daniel assumed it was merely a symbolic figure, someone meant to represent youth or potential. However, the presence felt significant, as though events revolved around choices this individual would make. Daniel tried to focus on the young man's face, but in the fluid nature of the vision, the image occasionally blurred. Jesus explained that 2025 would be a critical year, a time when humanity would stand at a crossroads. Decisions made during that period could tip the balance between deeper strife or renewed unity. The young man Daniel had seen was somehow intertwined with this pivotal moment, although the exact nature of his role was not spelled out. Jesus' words carried both a warning and an encouragement. Humanity had the power to shape its destiny if it awakened to its higher purpose. Upon regaining consciousness, Daniel recalled this young man's face vividly. It was days later, while scanning the internet with his father, that he felt his heart skip a beat. A news article featured Barron Trump, and the resemblance was undeniable. Daniel felt an uncanny certainty. This was the individual from his vision. The shock of that realization left him trembling. After all, he had never given much thought to the Trump family. And here was a possibility that Barron might hold a key role in how events unfold leading up to 2025. To Daniel, this revelation was less about politics or fame, and more about the mystery of destiny. He didn't claim that Barron would become president or a spiritual leader. Rather, Daniel sensed that Barron represented a broader truth, that anyone, no matter how unexpected, could become an influential figure in a world on the brink of change. For a 12-year-old who had just survived a brush with death, it was both a burden and a calling. He felt compelled to share what he had seen, even if it meant facing disbelief and ridicule. Once Daniel recovered, he began recounting his near-death experience and the subsequent visions to those closest to him. His parents initially dismissed it as a result of medical trauma, but they couldn't ignore how composed and unwavering their son appeared. He spoke with a conviction that seemed beyond his years, describing in detail what he had seen, heard, and felt while clinically dead. Gradually, their skepticism gave way to cautious acceptance, if only because Daniel's emotions ran so deep. At his grandmother's invitation, Daniel shared his story at her local church. Nervous at first, he found surprising ease once he started speaking about the serenity he felt and the message he believed Jesus had entrusted to him. Congregants sat in rapt attention as he discussed the stark difference between our current trajectory and the more hopeful future that could be chosen. Although not everyone believed him, several attendees reported feeling inspired and challenged to evaluate their own lives more earnestly. Word spread quickly, and Daniel was invited to speak at various gatherings. Each time, he emphasized that his revelation was not about endorsing any political figure or party. He insisted that Barron Trump's appearance in his visions was a symbol of how the unexpected can become pivotal in times of spiritual or social crisis. The larger point was the collective decision humanity faces. Do we continue to fragment ourselves with labels, fear, and prejudice? Or do we step forward together, guided by love and empathy? As his audience grew, Daniel noticed a recurring question. Why 2025? He explained that Jesus had shown him this year as a turning point, a tipping scale that could lead either to unity or heightened turmoil. The future wasn't set in stone. In every talk, he stressed the necessity of personal responsibility. Every individual's actions and choices feed into the larger tapestry of the world's destiny. If enough people aligned themselves with love, forgiveness, and hope, the visions of disaster might be mitigated, or even transformed into opportunities for renewal. As the story of Daniel's near-death experience circulated, the reactions were as varied as one might expect. Many were moved, seeing parallels between Daniel's vision and other accounts of individuals who returned from death with messages urging compassion and unity. Some expressed gratitude for his courage, believing that his young age gave the account an added layer of authenticity. They saw him as a modern-day messenger, tasked with waking people up to the fragility of society's current path. On the flip side, skeptics and critics were swift to label his story as either a hoax or a hallucination born of oxygen deprivation. Newspapers and online forums debated whether it was wise to give Daniel a platform at all. Some insisted he was being manipulated by adults with hidden agendas. Others argued that focusing on Barron Trump was a sensationalist tactic to draw attention. These criticisms weighed heavily on Daniel's mind, but he remained steadfast in sharing what he felt was a divine directive. Interestingly, a portion of the discussion centered specifically on Barron Trump. Conspiracy theories formed, some claiming Daniel's vision hinted at unannounced political ambitions within the Trump family. Others dismissed any connection as pure coincidence, pointing out that near-death experiences often include random images or cultural figures. Yet, Daniel continued to maintain that his vision had never been about politics. Barron was simply the face he recognized, a representative of a much larger narrative about youthful influence and the potential for change. Amid all this debate, Daniel's talks became something of a communal mirror, reflecting people's hopes and fears back to them. Individuals who listened to him speak reported feeling challenged to examine their own role in fostering or healing social divisions. Pastors and society leaders mentioned an uptick in conversations about reconciliation, forgiveness, and unity. Though not everyone agreed on the specifics of Daniel's account, the urgency of his core message resonated. 2025 looms ahead, and the paths we choose today will determine whether we veer toward a future of deeper strife or breakthrough healing. Daniel believes that while 2025 marks a significant crossroad, the seeds of change must be planted now. Each small act of compassion, each effort to mend a fractured relationship, each step toward understanding across lines of difference, these are the building blocks of a more hopeful collective future. He encourages everyone to look beyond surface-level disagreements and recall that humanity's shared spiritual fabric is stronger than the divisions so frequently highlighted in the news. While one boy's near-death experience may not convince every skeptic, the invitation remains. Choose faith, love, and unity in the face of mounting challenges. The message resonates no matter your worldview. We each have the power to tip the scales, to make 2025 either a year of reckoning or of renewal. Even if you question the specifics of Daniel's vision, the call to reflect, grow, and act with compassion has never been more relevant. Daniel's story offers a glimpse into what might be possible when someone peeks beyond the veil that separates life and death. He emerged with a mission he never asked for, yet bravely accepted. In a rapidly changing world, his voice urges us to pause, consider our path, and realize that the future is still ours to shape. Subscribe to the channel for more thought-provoking narratives, spiritual insights, and discussions that challenge the way we view our world. Stay connected, share your thoughts, and join in exploring the mysteries and responsibilities that come with being human.